I need to kind of reflect it or something. Okay, here we are, working on the lighting. Welcome to Our Lady Soldiers. I haven't had this. I've had this channel for about 8-10 years. I don't really know exactly. And the impetus of this particular channel is basically to, how do I say it without being too rash? To masculinize, well, there you go. That's bad right there. To put a little bit of alpha into the church. You know, I'm in my 60s now, and I remember when I was a kid, and most of the people that were in church, and I'm a Catholic, but I went to Christian churches also. Most of the people that would go to church were female. Now, I'm not against females going to church, but I did notice a lack of masculinity. And even when you had men in the church, they weren't your quote unquote man's man. They were more, I would say beta male. If you want to classify them. So, hence that's really, I think, it all started really from praying the rosary. I got into a jam, and I had nowhere to go because the water was under the bridge, and I made an agreement with God. Of course, I made the agreement, and I don't know if God was going to be agreeing with me at all, but I was kind of desperate at the time. And I said to God, I will pray the rosary 90 days if you can help me with this particular situation. So I started praying the rosary each day, devoutly. And from then on, I've been praying it, every day for, I don't know, over 10 years probably. So it works. When I made that pact with God, I really didn't know much about the rosary. I didn't know that there were 4 mysteries. And I didn't know anything really, knew nothing about it. I was just kind of just throwing a dart against the wall and see if that would help me in my situation. And it did. The situation never came to fruition. And things were turning my way. A whole turnaround in my life. Was it dramatic? No, it wasn't dramatic. It was like a little by little by little. But doors were opening in my life, and it was like the wind was at my back, as opposed to in front of me, a headwind. And so this channel is multifaceted in the fact that I'm trying to initiate your alpha males to get into the church, because there's a lack of alpha males in the church, and it is necessary. It really is necessary. Hey, Jesus is an alpha male. Okay. David, the one who killed Goliath, is a alpha male. Paul, I would think he's an alpha male. Peter, So, man, we need these people. We need people like these guys, because the tide has been turning. So when I was a kid, when I grew up, there was no problem or no controversy or no controversy or like I said, when you said you Catholic, a Christian, it was like carte blanche. There was no criticism, you know. Now it's different. Now it's different. And someone's going to pick up the slack. Now, God says that we all have to carry our cross. And I'm telling you, alpha males are not carrying the cross. I don't know what they're carrying. No, I'm not saying all alpha males are not carrying the cross. There are. But the other situation is there's such few alpha males out there that, man, you can't spare one. They all got to chip in, and because there's only a few to go around, and there's a counterbalance that has to be exercised, because the scale is tipped to one side, and we need all the alpha males we can to jump on that other side of the scale. So that's the one side in regards to the multifaceted, and the other side is it's Our Lady, the Madonna, the Virgin Mary, our Blessed Mother. So these are the two things I focus on. All along the way, I talk about God's ways. God's ways. I have a saying. I say Yahweh is the only way, which means basically God's way is the only way. Now, I've tried the other way. I've tried for many years Satan's way or my way, and it did not work out. It just didn't work out, man. It was just didn't work out. And I bet a lot of you people that might be watching, that are watching right now, would agree with me that when I start doing my thing, it usually doesn't launch me as far as I want to go, in regards to if I do it God's way, the will of God. So God is our creator, and he's our father. So he wants the best for us. There's a book called the Bible, and the Bible is a manual to learn how to play or win the game of life. So we can look at life as a game. And when you're born, you don't know how to play the game. You rely pretty much on your parents to tell you how to play the game of life. But if they don't know how to play the game of life, then you go to your friends or your teachers, and they're more messed up than you. So you're better off going to the source, God's ways, the Bible. And if you follow that manual, turn the cheek, right? Being humble, you go down the list. That's gonna, like I said, put the wind behind your sails. It's gonna catapult you. I talk to people and I say, people, when they pray to God, so many times they pray to God, and it's like they haven't prayed in months, maybe years, right? So they start praying to God, and it's like this. They have this wish list, It's like God is not Santa Claus, right? It's not like when you're 8 years old and you have a Christmas list that you want for Christmas, and then all of a sudden under the tree on Christmas Day, there it is, there they are. Oh, I wanted a toy car and wanted the horsey and whatever you wanted, right? God's not that way. God is not Santa Claus. Okay? God will hear you. Now, it's funny that people say, well, I prayed and God did not hear me. He heard you. Believe me. He knew what you were going to say before you even said it. Okay? He knows exactly what's going on. Don't belittle God. Come on, man. Seriously. God did not hear me. Okay, God heard you. He decided not to give you that. And it could be of various reasons. Maybe you don't deserve it. Maybe it's not right for you, right? I remember I prayed to have a I failed my driver's license 5 times. Man, I was devastated. I mean, I was just devastated. I kept on failing and failing. The first couple of times, all right. But when it got down to the 4th or 5th time, man, I was devastated. All my friends were driving cars, and I'm like riding a bicycle. But now that I look back upon it, man, if I would have gotten that license, I probably wouldn't be talking right now. I mean, I was, even when I got my license at like 17, like 18 years old, I was a freaking maniac. So it was, even though I wanted to get that license, I don't think I prayed for it. But man, it was probably, in retrospect, was a good idea that I didn't get it. Yeah. Whew. So these are the things we got to think about in regards if you want to win the game. If you want to win the game of life, you got to follow God's ways. Now, you can follow your ways or Satan's ways or anybody's ways you want to follow. You can do it. Hey, I did it for years. I follow my way. But man, I didn't get anywhere. Just small steps from a lot of effort. I put a lot of effort into a lot of different things. And man, I just kind of was like a dog chasing his tail. So now, the last, say, 8 to 10 years, now that I'm kind of following God's ways, praying the rosary and being more dedicated to the Word of God, like I said, things are turning around. It's turning around, and it's always a work in progress. I'm still a sinner, but I'm plugging along like the little engine I could, right? So, and that's how you have to kind of look at it. God will help you if you are trying to help Him. If you're trying to be obedient to God, God will help you, and you'll get these little nudges from God in regards to things going your way. And I can talk about a myriad of different little things that happened to me along the way when I kind of gave up because I just couldn't do what I wanted to do, and then the next thing I know, I'm getting help, and I'm not even doing anything. So, and these are the things you kind of learn as you go. You become more divine. Your divinity. See, I don't think anybody really talks about divinity. Like, what's divinity? Divinity. Divinity is you kind of moving up in the ranks, right? You're getting closer to God. Like spiritually, you're getting closer to God, and you're getting like kind of promoted. Now, God is going to test you. Hey, if I want to go to the 5th grade to 6th grade, I got to take tests. If I don't pass the tests, I don't get promoted. It's the same thing with God. That's one of God's ways. If you want to move up in divinity, a lot of times it's like you have to kind of like sacrifice. God really loves people who sacrifice and feel pain. God likes pain. It's just the way it is. If you're feeling, a lot of the saints became saintly from their suffering. It wasn't because they just kind of like crossed ladies across the street and look both ways before they cross. No, they suffered quite a bit, but God rewards you for that. Hey, if you want to supercharge your prayers, people say, well, I'm going to pray and then I'm going to, God's going to help me because I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray, this whole week I'm going to pray. Meanwhile, you should be praying every day. Okay, so like you're not even doing anything really. But if you really want to supercharge your prayer, fast. Yeah. Put some pain behind that bad boy. Oh yeah. Don't eat for 3 days and just pray. Man, if you got to go to work, go to work. And man, because then you're showing God how bad you really want it. It's not lip service anymore. And that's just the way that God is. He wants He wants you to sacrifice. You know, I mean, they had sacrifices back in the day, burnt offerings, they called it, right? So, just things that I'm telling you right now are little nuances of God's ways, how He thinks. Because the more you understand how God thinks, you kind of know when you're getting off track. You know, like yeah, the simple things like don't steal, right? The Ten Commandments, honor thy God. You know, uh, don't murder. Uh, um, love God with all your heart, your mind, soul. Right? Honor your father and mother. These are guidelines, right? But they're very general guidelines. Like I don't think most people are going to kill people, and we all know that we shouldn't steal. You don't got to be Catholic or Christian to know that you shouldn't take something that doesn't belong to you. That's not that's no big deal. No, honor your father and your mother. You should honor your father and mother. You're their seed. You know what I mean? So these other things that I'm talking about with God, that his this part that He wants you to suffer. Well, people don't like that, right? Oh, I don't want to fast. I don't want to fast for a day or a week. But hey, that's one of God's ways. Now you can pray. That's fine. I pray the rosary every day. That's good. But there's levels, and that's not. We're supposed to pray 20 minutes a day, and the rosary is about a 20-minute prayer. We're just fulfilling what our requirements for the day by praying the rosary. You're not doing anything extra. Now, if you pray the rosary and you haven't eaten for the whole day, and you're hungry, that's a little bit extra. And also, talking about if you're talking about God and religion to other people and teaching them, promulgating is the word, promulgating the word of God, like I'm doing currently. God likes that too. It's part of you or me or anybody else carrying the cross, telling them about the good word or the good news. So these are the things I wanted to inject to you guys today. I did a video this morning, namely July 13th, 2024, and it talked about the miracle of Lazarus, that he was dead for 4 days, and Jesus prayed to God, thanking him and saying to God that you're giving me this so I can prove to everyone that you're real, that I'm real, that I came because you wanted me to come. And lo and behold, he said, Lazarus, get out. And the man came out with all this linen around him, this grave cloth that they put on around these people. And bam, miracle, incredible. But what the other thing good about that, or interesting about that particular section in the Bible, it's in John. It's a prerequisite, or it's like the first act of Jesus's returning to the world, his resurrection, because Jesus pretty much resurrected Lazarus, right? Got him up out of the death, from death, and not much later, Jesus rose from the dead. So you have these two examples, right, of somebody being dead. Now Lazarus was dead 4 days, so he beat Jesus in that regard, right? Because hey, Jesus, 3 days. That's I could do that. That's no problem. I can do 4. Come on, Jesus. Come on, get going with it. But what happened was when Jesus went to die, there was work to be done, and he did it in 3 days. He didn't need 4 days. If it would have taken 4 days, if it would have taken a week and a half, it would have taken a week and a half. I guess, Jesus got the job done. It took him 3 days. And he's like, all right, let me go to heaven. I've had enough of this hell jazz. He goes, where to go? Where was Jesus on Saturday? He died on a Friday, came back to the earth on Sunday. What was he doing on Saturday? Well, he was in hell. He was taking care of business, basically. So anyway, those are other things to talk about in a later date. But I hope this video gave your mind something to think about. What I'm trying to do is put information into you so you kind of take the little pieces of the puzzle and kind of put it together in your way. That'll make what makes sense to you. It could, because this is a personal relationship with God and with Jesus. I have my relationship with God and Jesus, and you can have your personal relationship with God and Jesus. What works for me may not work for you. So what I do is I just give you a bunch of information, kind of mold it in your own way so that you get more faith. More faith. Because really everything comes from faith. You have to have faith in God. Faith in the Lord. If you don't have faith, then what do you got? You don't got much. You're not going to follow the ways of God, because if you don't have faith, that's the initiative. You doing what you got to do to be closer to God. If you don't think that this is the truth, then you're lost. You're gone. So anyway, hope you liked the video. If you did like it, give it a like. Subscribe if you'd like to. And as always, God bless.